Hello students, welcome to lesson 1 on angles of elevation and depression. I hope you are all doing well. Good. Now, so far we've covered enough content in trigonometry and we've learnt a lot of concepts. It is now time for us to apply what we've learnt in solving real life problems. Okay? Good. So basically, under angles of elevation and depression, we will be focusing on the application of trigonometry in solving real life problems. Now, trigonometry has many applications in different fields of study. It is applied in astronomy, architecture, surveying, computer animation, oceanography, just to mention a few. So, it is important for you to understand the concept here now at this level, so that in the future, when you find yourself in these fields of study, things will be smooth for you. Is that okay? Good. That's right. So, in our lessons, in this lesson and then future lessons under angles of elevation and depression, we will focus on applying trigonometry in determining height of objects and distance between objects. Okay, good. So let's begin. Right. So angle of elevation and depression. Angle of elevation and depression. Now, we'll take it one after the other. We'll start with angle of elevation. When we are done, we'll move on to angle of depression. Good. Now, assuming we have a light pole, okay? And then, let's say, a boy is standing in front of the light pole. Now, what is the boy's eye level now? Okay, you realize that the boy is now looking directly, okay, at the what? At the light pole. So his eye level will be what? Horizontal to what? To the light pole. Is that okay? Like this. Okay, good. So now this is the boy's eye level when he is what? Facing the light pole. Now if the boy wants to look at the top of the light pole, what would he do? He will raise what? His head. Okay, he will raise his head. Good. Now, when he raises his head, you realize that his eye level will change from this horizontal position to what? A slant what? Position. Because he is now what? Looking at the top of the pole. Is that okay? So there is an imaginary line between his what? His eye and then what? The top of what? Of the pole. Okay? Because when he lifts his head, his eye level now will be slanted and it will be looking at what? At the top of the pole. Like this. Are you following? Good. So initially the boy was facing the what? The pole direct, and this was his what? Eye level. It was what? Horizontal. Okay, it was a horizontal eye level. And then when he raised his head to look at what? The top of the pole, his eye level what? Changed in what? In position. It moved from the horizontal position to what? To a slant what? Position. I hope you are following. Good. So now you realize that there's an angle formed between the boy's initial eye level and his what? His new what? Eye level when he viewed what? The top of the pole. Are you okay? Good. So now this line, okay, this imaginary line is called line of sight. So we call this line of sight. Okay, good. So let's look at it. Line of sight. Line of sight. So this is called line of what? Of sight. Line of sight. Good. Line of sight. Good. And this is his horizontal what? Eye level. Horizontal eye level. Good. So, as I said, when he raises his head, there's what? An angle formed. There's an angle formed between his initial eye level and what? His line of sight. When he viewed the top of the pool. Are you okay? And this angle formed between the initial eye level and then the new eye level, which is called the line of sight, is called what? Who can guess? Angle of elevation, right? Angle of elevation. So why do you think it is called angle of elevation? Because what? He lifted his head, okay, in order to what? To view what? The top of the pool. So this angle was as a result of what? The lifting, the elevation of what? Of the eye level. Is that okay? So that is why this is called what? Angle of elevation. So the angle theta here is called what? Angle of elevation. Angle of elevation. Good. So I hope you get the concept. Good. So horizontal eye level, line of sight, and angle of elevation. Right. So now, students, how then will you define angle of elevation from our discussion so far? How will you define angle of elevation? Try it before I come out with the one for you. Good. So let's look at the definition of angle of elevation. Right. So angle of elevation of an object. So pay attention. Angle of elevation of an object from a point of observation. So it means that anytime we are talking about angle of elevation, it is what? Of an object and from what? A point of what? Observation. So take notes. It is an angle of what? Of an object from what? From a point of observation. So let's continue. So angle of elevation is angle of elevation of an object from a point of observation is the angle below. So take notes. Is the angle below the object formed between what? The horizontal level of the point of what? Observation. The horizontal level of the point of observation and the line of sight. And the line of sight. Good. So these are the key words in the definition. So it is an angle which is below the what? The object. So when we look at the illustration, you realize that the object is the top of what? Of the pool. Is that okay? And the angle of elevation is what? Is below the what? The object. Good. So below the object formed between the horizontal level of the point of observation and the what? The line of sight. And the line of sight. So the point of observation, the point of observation is the what? The boy's what? Eye. Okay. So the eye to the pole. Okay. The eye to the pole is the line of sight. But the observation is from what? From his eye. So the point of observation is the boy's what? Eye. I hope you get it. Good. So let's continue. So this is the definition of what? Angle of elevation. So angle of elevation is always of an object and from what? A point of observation. That is what you have to take note. So of an object and what? From a point of observation. You have to take note of that. So we always find the angle of elevation of an object and it is from a point of observation. I hope you are okay. Good. So now let's move on to angle of depression. Angle of depression. Good. So let's use the same light pole. Assuming you have a light pole. Okay? You have a light pole. and then you are standing in front of the light pole. Now here also, at this moment, your eye level is horizontal to the pole. Okay, your horizontal eye level. Now, if you want to look at the bottom or the foot of the pole, what will you do? You will look down. Good. You will look down. So when you look down, your eye level now changes in what? In position, like this. Okay, so now your new eye level, okay, your new eye level is what? Slanted. It's slanted. Are you okay? Good. So your new eye level is what? Is slanted. So you realize that there is an angle formed between your initial eye level and what? Your new eye level. There is an angle formed between your initial eye level and what? Your new eye level. Now this imaginary line here, from the point of observation, which is the eye, to the what? The object, that is the foot of the pole, is also called what? Line of what? Of sight. So as we did with in angle of elevation, this is also called what? Line of sight. And this is what? Your horizontal what? Level, the eye level. So now this angle here formed, okay, between the horizontal level and the line of sight is called what? Angle of depression. It's called angle of depression. Okay, so when we say someone is depressed, what does it mean? It means that one way or the other his mood is what? Is down. Is that okay? Good. So this one, the guy is what? Looking downwards at what? At an object. So the angle here through which he views the object is what? The angle of what? Depression. I hope you are okay. Good. And you realize that here the angle of depression is what? Is above the what? The object. The object is the foot of the pole. The angle of depression is what? Is this angle. And you can see that the angle of depression is above what? The object, which is what? The foot of the pole. I hope you are with me. Good. So this angle theta here is what? Angle of depression. Angle of depression. Angle of depression. Angle of depression. This is the line of sight. This is what? The horizontal eye level. So students, are you okay with the explanation? Alright. So now, in your own words, write the definition of angle of depression. Okay, so let's look at it. So angle of depression of an object. So here take note. It is also what? Of an object. And what? From a point. So angle of depression of an object from a point of observation is the angle where? Above the object, formed between what? The horizontal level of the point of what? Observation. The horizontal level of the point of observation and what? The line of sight. The line of sight. Good. So this is the definition of what? Angle of depression. Angle of depression of an object. Okay. Angle of depression of an object from a point of observation is the angle above the object, formed between the horizontal level of the point of observation and the line of sight. So I hope you are okay. So always you have to take note of the of and from. So it is the angle of an object, okay? Angle of depression of an object from a point. Of an object from a point. So you always have to take note of these words, of and what? From. Right. So students, this is how far we have looked at what? Angle of depression and what? Angle of elevation. I hope you get the concept. Good. So now, let me test your understanding. Okay. Let's look at this question. I have this diagram here. Now, I want you to first of all tell me the angle of elevation of the point C from the point A. So what will be the angle of elevation of the point C from the point A? It's going to be what? 50 degrees. Good. 50 degrees. So why will it be 50 degrees? It will be 50 because this is what? A straight line. And we've learned in geometry that angles on a straight line add up to what? 180 degrees. So if the angle here is 130 degrees, then definitely the angle here is what? 50 degrees. And it is the what? The angle of elevation of the point what? C from what? The point A. Are you okay? Good. Now, I want you to also tell me or look for the angle of depression of the point A from the point C. So what is the angle of depression of the point A from the point C? It will be what? 50 degrees. Good. 50 degrees. So how did you get it? How did you get the 50 degrees? Wonderful. Good. How did you get the 50 degrees? It is what? Alternate angle. So you realize that line DC and then line EB are parallel. Okay. And then, so once they are parallel, it means that this line AC is what? A transversal. And we've learned that if you have two parallel lines with a transversal, then the angle here and the angle here are what? Alternate angles. And they are what? Are equal. So the angle here will also be what? 50 degrees. Okay, the angle here is also what? 50 degrees. So this, or we can conclude that the angle of elevation is the same as what? The angle of what? Depression, because they are what? Alternate what? Angles. So this is a good point you have to take note of. The angle of elevation is the same as the angle of what? Depression, because they are what? Alternate what? Angles. So angle of elevation and angle of depression are alternate angles. Good. So students, this is how far we'll end our lesson today. This is how far we'll end our lesson today. Now, before we end, okay, we focus on certain objects. In problem solving, there are certain objects that we talk about, and it is advisable we get acquainted or familiarize ourselves with these objects. So I have pictures of these objects so that you have it in mind, and whenever you come across it in a question, you'll be able to what? Imagine it, and then you use it. Okay, so let's look at some of the pictures and we'll bring our class to an end. So this is called a cliff. A cliff. So this is the sea, and then what you see here is the what? The cliff. Okay, is the cliff. So this is the cliff. This structure you see here is the cliff, and this is the sea. Good. Next image, this is a lighthouse. A lighthouse. A lighthouse. This is also a lighthouse, but this is in the daytime. Lighthouse. This structure is the what? The lighthouse. Then this is a tower. So this tall thing that you see here is called tower. Tower. This is also a clock tower. Okay, we have different types of towers. We have buildings that are towers, tall, thin buildings. They are also what? Towers. We have telecommunication towers too as well. And this is what? Ladder. Ladder. So the man is using the ladder. Okay, he's climbing the ladder at this point. He's positioning the ladder well for him to what? To climb. Then this is what? A boat. This is a boat. So students, we'll end here and we'll continue next time. Till we meet again, revise, read ahead. Bye.